Hi, folks. Today on Moe's Cowbell, I'm going to tell the story of Helen Robbins because today, May 6th, is her birthday. And so stay tuned. I'll be right back to tell you the whole story. More cowbell. More cowbell. More cowbell. Moe's Cowbell. So, Helen Wheels was born May 6, 1949. She changed my life. She was a poet when I met her. And she was probably born a poet because she had a rich internal life. And a pretty rich external one, too. I met her at a Ravi Shankar concert at Stony Brook University in 1967. She was a freshman. 2 weeks later, my band, the Soft Droid Underbelly, was playing a mixer at G-Quad. And I saw this girl, and I did not recognize her, but she came up to me and said hi. And I realized, oh, this is the same girl that I met at the Ravi Shankar concert, but she looked different. And then I realized she wasn't smiling. For some reason, she was not having a good time that day. But we hit it off well, and pretty soon we were kind of an item. After I got to know her, I realized that she was a wild child. But when I first met her, she struck me as a flower child in the summer of love. Before I knew it, I was meeting her brother and her parents and her sister and her grandmother and her Aunt Dolly, the whole family. She seemed to know a lot of people. She took me to a Yippie meeting where I met Thule Kupferberg, Ed Sanders, Abby Hoffman, and Paul Krasner. We lived in the band house off and on for several years, but by 1975 we were more just good friends. We made instrumental spoken word stuff in the band house, but no songs per se. That all changed in 1975. We started writing songs together, and some were quite good. We used two of them on our breakthrough Agents of Fortune album. But she wanted to be up on the stage. She wanted to be up there, and in truth, some of those demos that I did with her singing were quite good. She lived in the East Village, so when she formed her band, they played those East Village clubs, CBGBs, etc. Helen used the money that she made from Agents of Fortune and put together a band, take out an ad in the Village Voice, gathering a group of capable musicians. You'll notice she had quite a stage show there with the knives stuck in front of the bass drum. She made her own outfits, and she made her own artwork. She was a force to be reckoned with. She created this badass persona that she was happy to fulfill, even though she was still the sweet little girl that I used to know. She became friends with R. Crumb and secured an autograph for me from him. I was a big fan of Zap Comics. When her first band broke up, the Dictators were in between record deals, and so they became her backup band. After that, Scott Kempner helped her put together the third version of the Helen Wheels Band. Ultimately, she got Jack Rigg, who had answered an ad in The Voice, just like he did for the David Roeder method. So Jack played on both David Roeder and Helen Wheels, and eventually Blue Oyster Cult and Imaginos. She found her way into popular magazines and review-type shows. Here's a clip she did with the Downtown Divas and the Uptown Horns, the Ritz. Eventually, I played in her band for a few years when the Imaginos project started stalling. That band had Joe Vasta on bass and Tommy Morangello on guitar. Around this time, I introduced Helen to Mark Barkan. Mark was a hit songwriter from the 60s and had written hits for Connie Francis, Leslie Gore, and Dusty Springfield, as well as Manfred Mann with Pretty Flamingo. He wrote a song for Helen too called Carry My Own Weight, which was released as a promo flexi disc. She continued to get attention from the press, including a mention in the New York Times. She rehearsed regularly, several times a week, in addition to her bodybuilding activities. When Joe Vasta went off to play with Willie DeVille, we got Mike Leslie on bass. Then Morangello left and we got Lee Dietmeyer and Sergeant Rock on guitars. We got John Anthony, engineer from Queen, to produce a 4-song EP. We can't forget Ronald Binder, who became band manager, road manager, agent, promo guy, you name it. He was the man, Ronald Binder. It was shortly after this that Helen got a role in the Toxic Avenger series as a muscle-bound bad guy. She had won several bodybuilding championships by this point, and she decided that she was going to try and use her assets to make some money. So, hence the job with the Toxic Avenger. She didn't really box, but she did use a bag to stay in shape. Another surprising thing about her was that she discovered, through hypnosis, that she had been abducted by space aliens when she was just a child. We played some great shows, but after many personnel changes, she decided to retire to upstate New York. But that didn't last long. She hooked up with this guy, Kim Drahan, and recorded her last recordings and played many gigs with him. While she was working with Kim, the three of us decided that she should put out a retrospective record that would include all the different recordings that she'd done with their various bands. It would also include some new material that she recorded with the X Brothers and with the Skeleton Crew. I put the whole thing together and released it on Selsum Records. Later that year, we had a show at Brownies in New York City that featured all the Selsum Records acts. After she died, many of the musicians who loved her, we all got together and we played a tribute concert for her in the West Village. I hope you enjoyed this insight into my life, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and leave comments below. See you next week.